Alright, so for standard today, we're entering the arms race with Agent of Treachery here. This build is interesting. So this deck is basically decided to punt the aggro matchups entirely and just try and go big. So we had previously played a Temur Fires variation with Cavaliers and Mythos and Reef that felt reasonable, but we elected not to play Keruga, and instead we played Growth Spiral and Bone Crusher Giant at the low end of our curve, so we still had some chance against aggressive decks. This build, I would be surprised if we ever beat an Obosh variant with it. So we're hoping to run into Yorion, and the question is going to be, do we dumpster Yorion? Because if we don't guaranteed slaughter these Yorion decks, there's no reason to play this and punch your aggro matchups, right? So let's go ahead and pop on into a couple ladder matches here. See if we're able to pull ourselves off the plat 4 rank floor, which has not been something that's happened so far yet today. It's 11 months, Ash World. Yes, you could play Bone Crusher Giant. It does not break the Keruga requirement. The way this deck is constructed, it's making a conscious decision to not respect aggressive decks, he says as he cues into Obosh. "26 lanes later, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. It's Blur's Day." Garbage time. Not necessarily. So, hey, that's a good draw. Is it a good draw? So what's the play here? So, I think the play is Risen Reef, hope to hit a land, hope to high roll Genesis Ultimatum. I could also just Cavalier here, though, and then that blocks this, and I take 4, 5, 6 next turn after they Obosh me. Like, do I win after taking 6 next turn, though, and blocking with Cav? Like, is that a game-winning play? Like, I go down to 5, and then I'm at a virtual 1 with the Serrated Scorpion and just can't win, right? They have Rider up, sure. So I can't beat Murderous Rider Silver Fox, so I shouldn't even consider it. You shouldn't consider cards you can't beat in your decision-making process. And then they Obosh. We trade. We go down to 5. And then this ultimatum could high roll 3 blockers and have us not be dead on board. We're dead, right? Agent of Treachery would have also been good there. Agent of Treachery would have been 2 blockers, right? Actually, had we spiked Agent on that ultimatum, we would have taken their Obosh, right? It would have been potentially fine. It's an Aether Gust matchup, probably, because they always have Obosh. It's guaranteed. I guess Reef was instrumental there. Alright, let's do this. Yeah, if we'd have been a Fires there, we would have also been able to cast the Cavalier from our hand for an extra blocker, so I don't know how likely we were to hit there, but we had a lot of outs. The queue's so full at the moment, Anti-Trumpet. I don't have anything too specific that I want to play personally, so I just nixed it out. And I'll add something later when something pops up. Jackie, thanks for the 16 months. Welcome back. Which of the Obosh decks have been most impressive? I really haven't been impressed with any of them. I feel like the games you win with the Obosh deck are incredibly close, and your opponent has to get unlucky to lose, like we got a little bit unlucky in that last game. And the games you win and the games you lose often are runaways. The difference between, like, the best draws and the mediocre draws in a lot of these decks is they're really far apart. Because your average draw is so weak. Like, your highs are high. How many lands are in this deck, chat? Is it 29? It's some unholy number of lands, right? Stream Decker's taking forever to load. $28, sure. Stream Decker's refusing to load for me. It's been a rough day, chap. It's to fetch our 3rd blue in Storm's Wrath next turn at least. We're taking 2 in combat here down to 21, and then we'll take 2 from the Serrated Scorpion down to 19. Okay. They'll get to scry 1 4 times, that's whatever. None of. Did I stutter? Did I stutter? When I say none of the Obosh decks, don't sit and list random Obosh decks. I did not. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said. Had Marty Michiko is very bad. What about the 80 card 4-color Obosh decks that instead of playing Obosh, they play Yorion? Those Obosh decks are good. The 80 card 4-color Obosh decks that instead play Yorion are fantastic in my experience. Again, Greybeer, in general, when you want to make a suggestion for my deck, I'd encourage you to tell me what problem you think you're solving with the suggestion that you're making. In my experience, that's a good way to focus on making meaningful changes as opposed to just, like, cutting cards at random. It's pretty good. Throw these back for now. See if they have a removal spell here for this. Okay. Have like a shock here they're going to finish Cavalier off with. Sure, so they're going to sacrifice 2 creatures here to kill Cavalier. I think I'm okay with that. I should have Fabled Passage in response to the devil. Is what I should have done. Oh, they didn't shoot my thing. I guess they don't know that this is coming. I guess they can sack their thing to kill my thing. I should have attacked first here. I missed 5 points of damage. It's fine though. Their scries don't do anything. I have Genesis next turn. I'm going to keep the land on top because it guarantees that I get a Cavalier with my Genesis next turn. So the 14 months box in. And again, this kind of feels like one of the games where it really kind of shows how mediocre these Obosh decks are. Like we talked about at the start of this, how the deck I'm currently playing has actual no respect for the opponent's archetype, but it's just like, we're playing a real game of Magic anyways, even though I have no respect for it. Oh, I should turn off auto-order triggered abilities. Any merit to fighting the devil off the Mythos can trigger? Yeah, there are a couple of ways to eat that Rhesus there. Can't you put the lands into play along with the creatures? I can, but then I can't discard them to red Cav to draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, I took the lands into my hand. You saw me think about there and like look at the board. That was what I was thinking about. I wanted to discard the lands to draw with the red Cav. So, when you hear me talking about aggro and not needing to respect it, I'm not explicitly talking about my deck. The deck that I'm currently playing probably loses to Obosh more than it beats it. The decks that I'm talking about are the decks that are ones that are running Ramp Shot and were like 7 of the 13 decks that 5-0'd the Channel Fireball events yesterday. The Jeskai Luca decks are playing Birth, they're playing 4-mana sweepers. They have a bunch of cards that they play that are incidentally very, very good against aggro, that they're playing because they want to play them, not because they have to respect aggro. If that makes sense. And again, our build here is much worse in these matchups because and they have tokens to block and buy time, and we don't have Shatter the Sky. Not having Shatter the Sky is a big deal in matchups like this, as you're currently seeing on your screen. Whereas, like, if I could Fires and Shatter this board, and then I have any kind of follow-up, my opponent's basically just dead and can't win. But because we're not playing the good Fires deck, we're playing Temur Fires. We don't really have that ability to do that. Oh, I'm dumb. We're gonna have to shuffle these. It doesn't matter. We're dead. Doesn't matter. We're dead to the land, Obosh. Even if they don't have land, we're just dead to what they have on board. We have to, like, chump block this dino every turn. Opponent is not playing a companion, which probably means they're playing... Flash or Temur Reclamation. I like how you can tell what a deck is by lack of companion. I agree. And it's actually one of the reasons why I wish companions were going to be a thing they were going to expand on instead of looking like they're going to be a one-shot out of Ikoria. I actually think being able to give players information they could leverage in game ones is really meaningful. It increases the skill cap of Magic as a game to be able to make informed mulliganing decisions before the game starts. Y'all still see me, right? I'm not disconnected. I'm at the rank floor, so I'm actually just going to concede this match rather than sitting here and waiting for them to take another 2 minutes. I don't care. My time is worth more than this. Thanks for the 10 months, Kikoro. Just want to play Magic, opponent! Play games with me! Play games! I think Magic tournaments will happen later in this year, based on like Eternal Weekend or the SCG Tour. I think I'm not a scientist, and I think you should not ask random personalities whether or not they think things will return back to normal, and instead Don't act like our Republican leadership and instead listen to the scientists. Based on guidance from scientists, the Illinois governor put out a plan yesterday that detailed eventually returning life to normal in Illinois, and it did not include fully scale things back up to large-scale gatherings like that until there's a vaccine available, which is probably very realistic. You were just curious. Sure, but you should seek out information from good sources. Getting bad information with regards to things like COVID is worse than having no information. Bad information with regards to things like COVID will get people killed. Acting on bad info is a real danger. Go to proper sources. Don't ask random personalities on Twitch, stuff like that. Remember when I said my deck didn't have any respect for aggro? And it's looking like we're going to take a game here, and then maybe we can steal one of the post-board games? Newsom and Callie said he's going to start opening up some stores on Friday. Yeah, opening up in general before we have the ability to mass test. That's one of the requirements that the Illinois governor's plan hinges on, is the ability to implement mass testing. Mythos here doing its best. Whew! That's funny. That's super funny. So this could technically fight two things. I don't want to fight two things, but it could. That's good to know. I didn't think about that part of it. You live in Indiana, and restaurants are going to open at 50% capacity on Monday. We are likely going to see an incredible amount of spikes in cases. In fact, there were good charts that I retweeted this morning from that had data from medical experts that talked about how everywhere other than the cities that had big lockdowns were basically still seeing an increase of cases. And that how the curve had been flattened in the United States was only being flattened in very specific areas. No, you're gonna see a spike in hospital cases, dude, light. And one of the big problems is whenever our leaders make bad decisions on things like COVID, the way how long it takes to, fully fester in a person or whatever it's called, there's like a 2-week lag time on learning that you made a bad decision. The incubation period, that's the word I'm looking for. So Aether Gust and Storm's Wrath in, trim some of our chonky top end, click submit. Fauci's talked about expect a second wave in the fall. People that understand what's going on have talked about a second wave in the fall. I like fester period. Alright, so we stole game 1 here with our deck that has no respect for aggro against red aggro. See if we can steal one of the post-board games too with appropriate mulligans. Yeah, the Trump admin was talking about disbanding their task force. Which is the decision. $30 months I'll never get back. Well, I hope you spent some of them not specifically here. Thanks for the 2.5 years, Polar Scribe. Foxicon, welcome back. Thanks for 26 months. Good solid game of Magic the Gathering. I like this. This isn't even good enough, right? Like, I'm gonna take 5 more next turn. I'm gonna take 5 or 6 or 6 and 6, and then I'm just gonna be dead. Did we board in a card to make our companion unviable? No, I just decided to cut my companion to give my opponent a fair shake. Because it seemed unfair for me to have a companion and them not to. And they said chivalry was dead. Yeah, you get me. Hopefully this Risen Reef hits a land, then we can block Scorch Spitter. Missing on the land there could be the death knell. I think I'm supposed to play the Risen Reef because I need to trade with Scorch Spitter, but it's tough for sure. It means I'm not going to get to hit Genesis Ultimatum until turn 6 instead of turn 5, which early Genesis Ultimatum could have been what we needed to win this game. Hey, Rufio, thanks for sticking on with the tier 1. Yeah, exactly, Zach Fair. The Jeskai Luka decks, like, are just incidentally very good against, like, what the opponent's archetype is doing. God, that Fires would have been so good, chat. The Fires would have been so good. Oh, I'm tilted. This card's so tilting, chat. It's so tilting. Rob me blind. Ooh. Okay. All right. Am I dead on board? I block Phoenix. I take 7, so if they have a land, I'm dead. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. So again, like, I'm gonna give you a timeout for being just like a flipping Magic player in chat. Aggro ain't dead yet. Again, like, my B-list deck that explicitly has no respect for aggro lost to aggro. The B-list deck like mine is not the reason why aggro is rough and not great right now. It's the people playing the good decks, the Jeskai Luka decks, that incidentally beat the aggro decks because they do a lot of things that beat up the aggro decks. Again, aggro's probably fine against shit tier decks like what I'm currently playing. That's not the issue. The issue is the 7 out of 13 Agent of Treachery decks, Jeskai Luka decks, that 5-0'd the Channel Fireball thing last night. 9 out of the 13 were Agent of Treachery decks in general. I'm done for the day. I'll catch all y'all later.